Hi, I'm Dr. Joel Kreisberg.
And I'm Reggie Mara, and we're here today to talk about narrative health coaching, why it matters, and why it matters now. So, Joel, you actually engage in narrative health coaching. Can you say a little bit more about what that actually means and why you think it's important?
Well, at this stage, every client who walks in my office, I work with as a health coach, and I see what I do as narrative health coaching. And the reason why that is because often a client comes in with a complaint, like a headache, we'll say, or anxiety. And what I'm very interested in is finding out what their story is or how they understand what their complaint is. So we move away from a medical talk and more into, tell me what that's like.
Okay, great. And so what I hear you saying there at the very beginning, one of the primary points or aspects of narrative health coaching is that, in fact, story matters.
Exactly. So there's a shift away from a rational diagnostic sort of pain description and more to the how is what I'm doing, what's my story around it? What are the beliefs I have engaged, and how can I start to shift that story is what narrative health coaching seeks to do. And so that starts to happen in the relationship between the client and myself.
Okay, so just that leads into what I'd like to point to next. There's always a relationship, although it might be easy to forget this, between a coach and a client, and that relationships really do engage both parties. So can you speak a little bit more to the importance of the relationship itself along with the story when you coach your clients?
Well, okay, I was going to say, it goes back to, well, the story I tell myself, I often don't know I'm telling myself until I start to talk about it with somebody else. So in the narrative health coaching process, by actually verbalizing the story, I can begin to start to see it. So moving from a subjective experience to an interpersonal experience, and through the narrative health coaching process, I may begin to actually see my story and work with it. And so I'm engaging in a relationship in order for that to happen. As well, we're also going to see how that might engage in your relationship with others. So in terms of the client's engagement, and also in terms of studying narrative health coaching, we need to engage with one another so that we all begin to understand our story.
Great. And so two things jump out at me there. One of the ways we definitely learn is in the friction and in the smoothness that we find in any relationship. We rub up against another human being and we can learn from that. And we also can learn when we see the importance of not only what story we tell, but how we tell a particular story. And that brings us to the third tenet of narrative health coaching, which is that learning, in fact, is transformative. Learning transforms.
Well, no, so the key point is, so then the model is moving from story to engaging to learning. Right, and that we can learn just from observing ourselves, but often in the process of engaging others, in the process of how we engage in life, that's a key to learning, and that's a key to the type of transformational change and work we like to see in narrative health coaching.
Yeah, and so basically we move through these first becoming aware of our story through our relationship with a coach. If I'm a client, I'm sharing that relationship with you as my coach. I begin to learn, and the learning can be transformative. And transformation is basically another word to speak about growth, and which brings us to the fourth tenet, which is that growth, in fact, is healing. We can heal as we grow.
Well, which is actually, I think, ultimately well, they're all the foundation of narrative health coaching, but it took me a little while, but we've been working together on this idea is that this is a healing model. Okay, how do we heal? And through our story, through engaging, through learning, we actually change and heal and grow. And so it's a healing model. So growth heals, and it's a profound type of healing, and it's one that's very accessible and doesn't require that you take a lot of drugs. It doesn't require that you pay huge amounts of money to do fancy things. It's learning that you can grow, and that growth can be healing.
Great. Yeah. So basically, narrative health coaching is built upon four really powerful and essential tenets, which are that story matters, relationships engage, learning transforms, and growth heals. Anything you'd want to add to that to bring this to a close?
Well, I think that's about it. We'd love to invite you to learn more about narrative health coaching. And I think that you said it perfectly. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe.